Today we are going to talk about the metric system of measurement. The metric system of measurement. Now this is going to relate to all three sections. Section 5 is on length. And when we talk about length in the metric system is the meter. When we talk about in section 6, it's going to talk about weight. Weight would be the measurement of grams. And in section 7, we will talk about capacity. Capacity is the volume, and that would be the liter. Okay? So with each of these three, we will abbreviate meter with just the letter M. Gram is going to be abbreviated with the letter G, and liter is going to be abbreviated with an L. Okay? In our country, when you look at measurements of things, most of the time things are in customary measurements. The customary would be feet, miles, yards, gallons, quarts, cups, pounds, and ounces is how we normally do things. However, if you look at your labels on products that you purchase, you will find that it has both customary and metric. Now, there are some things of metric that are predominant, such as when you go to buy a soda. Used to, you'd buy soft drinks, when we still do 16 ounce, 20 ounce, a quart. But most of the time now, when people go to buy sodas, you're finding a lot of things are a half a liter, a 1 liter, or with the big bottled drinks, you'll find 2 liters. You hear people talk about, oh, I'm going to get a 2-liter Coke. So oftentimes you're going to see that. But when you go to buy milk, we don't usually refer to milk in that form. If you're in grade school and you're at school and get milk, you get a pint of milk as you go through the lunch line in the cafeteria. When you go to the grocery store, usually we refer to a gallon of milk. So in our country, we have a mixture of both customary and metric, and it's important for us to see the relationships of each. So sections 5, 6, 7 all look at each of the measurements, metric and customary. When we get to section 8, that's going to be converting between metric and customary. So we'll learn how to convert from one to the other. And the reason I'm doing customary second is because the way I teach you to do the customary is going to be the same way that we convert between metric and customary. The process, the way we set up problems will be the same. So that's why I'm doing that on Wednesday. And then in today's lecture, we're just going to look at metric. So as we're looking at the metric system, we need to look at our prefixes. We have prefixes of kilo, hecto, deca. Then we have the unit itself. Well, excuse me. Hang on. The unit itself is either going to be the meter, the liter, or the gram. That's the unit. Then we have deci, centi, milli. Okay? I want to show you the value of each of these. The unit in the middle, the meter, the liter, the gram, is represented by 1. Deca would represent 10. Hecto is 100, and kilo is 1,000. On the right side, deci is 1/10, Centi is 1/100th. Milli is 1/1000th. So deci, in other words, is 1 decimal place. Centi is 2 decimal places. Milli, tenths, hundredths, thousandths is 3 decimal places. Okay? When you look at this, this is actually like our number system. The metric system is based on the base 10 number system. Each of our prefixes, we will have an abbreviation that we will use with all of the different prefixes as well. Kilo is going to be a K. Hecto is going to be an H. Deca is DA. Then here we have the meter, the liter, the gram. That will always, one of these three will always go with those. Deci is just a D. Centi is just a C. Milli is just an M. Now, if you ever have an M completely alone, it's the meter. But if you have here, it would be either MM for millimeter, ML for milliliter, or MG for milligram. So for each of these prefixes, we can have kilometer, kiloliter, kilogram. We can have hectometer, hectoliter, hectogram. We can have decameter, decaliter, decagram. There is, as I said, is meter, liter, gram. Then we have decimeter, deciliter, decigram, centimeter, centiliter, or centigram. So each of the prefixes, depending on whether you're talking about length is meter, volume is liter, gram is the weight. So you only change the unit based on which type of measurement you're doing, okay? Another thing to think about when we talk about the metric system is sort of the size of these things. So when we talk about, say, let me put here, we'll call these relationships. So if we think about a centimeter, what is the width of a centimeter? Let's say the width of your fingernail, depending on the size of your hand, it could be maybe 1.5, 2 centimeters, but a centimeter is about the width of a fingernail, between a centimeter to 2. A meter, 1 meter is about the length of a yardstick. A yardstick is actually 3 feet. Another thing to think of here is the height of a doorknob. So when you go in a room and you look at the door and you see the height of where the doorknob is, that's approximately either a meter or a yard. It's around about 3 feet. If we look at a kilometer is a much longer distance. It's 1,000 meters. A kilometer is not nearly as long as a mile, but when I put kilometer, I want you to think about driving distance. You know, when we say it's 5 miles to get to Nashville from the college, in kilometers, kilometers will be the measurement you would use, not like centimeters or meters. If you're doing the depth of a swimming pool, you would use meters to do that. If you're measuring the width of a paper clip, you would use the centimeters. As we talk about weight, let me give you a couple of examples of that. With weight, 1, let's say, milligram, let's think about vitamins. When people have vitamins or medications that they may take, vitamins and medicine. So you might have a tablet that has 200 milligrams of ibuprofen. So milligrams would be the amounts you would see in very, very small proportions. 1 gram is the weight of a paperclip. And paper clips are pretty light. That would be about a gram. A kilogram, 1 kilogram, you would use if you're calculating a person's weight. So you would use a kilogram for weighing that. A book is about a kilogram, and a kilogram is actually a little bit more than 2 pounds. And let's think about capacity. When we think about capacity and volume of something, an example would be, let's say, 1 milliliter of a liquid does not fill a teaspoon. So 1 milliliter of a liquid does not fill a teaspoon. Not the size of spoon that you eat your cereal out of, or a soup spoon. Teaspoon is a very small measurement, and it does not fill that. Let's see. If you're using a liter, we think of the volume of a 1 liter bottle of water, because now a lot of water bottles, instead of being the 16.8 ounce, 16.9, something like that, it's a half a liter. And oftentimes when people buy the taller bottle, that's the 1 liter. So think of water bottles when you're thinking of that. And 1 kiloliter, think about if you need to fill up a swimming pool, you will use kiloliters for the measurement type, because a kiloliter would be 1,000 liters. So it would take a lot of water bottles to fill up a swimming pool. So we wouldn't measure liters or milliliters, we would use the kiloliters. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of a understanding of how big or how small some of those different measurements are. Now let's look at doing some conversions. When we do conversions of these, the first thing I'm going to do is here at the top, I'm going to list the prefixes just so we can see those again. I will let you know that when you do your test, you're going to be able to have a sheet of measurements that you're going to be able to use. You're not going to have to memorize the prefixes. You're not going to have to memorize all of the different amounts that make up the customary measurements, nor the conversions from metric to customary. You'll have a document that you can have that'll have these measurements on it, and you'll be able to use that when you do your testing. So that is a benefit there, that we do allow you to do that. So what we're going to do is, let's say we have, and we're going to do a conversion, 33,500 meters. If I want to convert that to kilometers, okay? So if I'm going from meters to kilometers, you have to determine which way your decimal is going to go. So the easiest thing to me, and what we're doing is we're either multiplying or dividing by some multiple of 10. It might be 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. And when you work with multiples of 10 and you're multiplying or dividing by those, then you're in essence really moving your decimal left if you're dividing, or you're moving it to the right to make the number larger if you're multiplying. But you don't have to worry about are you multiplying or dividing. I'm going to show you what I feel is the easier way to go about doing these. If I'm going from meter to kilometer, come look at the chart and hopefully you can see where my pen and the blue dots moving up and down. This is the M for meter. Not here, this is the prefix milli. So this is always millimeter, milliliter, milligram. So we're starting here in the middle at meter and we're going to kilometer. So that means we're going to move to the left. We're going to go to the left 1, 2, 3 places. So what I would do is I would rewrite my number 3,500. And I just made note that we're going to go left 3 places. Now, when we have a number that's just written, it's understood the decimal by default is here on the right. So I would put my pen here and I'm going to move left 1, 2, 3 places. So my decimal is going to end up between the 3 and the 5. So when I write this, it would just be 3.5 kilometers. Okay, let's say we're going to go from 2.5 meters to millimeters. So for here, I'm going to write down my 2 and my 5, my 2.5, and then I'm going to come look at the chart. I'm going to start at meter here in the middle, and I'm going to go to the right to get to the prefix milli. So I count my places, 1, 2, 3 places to the right. So I'm going to move right 3 places. So the decimal in this problem is between the 2 and a 5. So I start here and I go right 1, 2, 3. So the decimal is going to move right 3 places. It doesn't automatically mean add 3 zeros. You move 3 places from where the decimal is. And here it was between these two. So I'm only going to add 2 more zeros. And the answer would be 2,500 millimeters. Okay, let's do 2 more of these. Let's say we have 14 meters and we're going to convert to centimeters. And then I'm also going to do 150 millimeters and I'm going to convert that to centimeters. Okay, so from meter to centimeter, we're going to start in the middle at meter. We're going to go right 2 places to get to the centimeter. We're going to go right 2 places. So if I start here and go right, that's 1, 2. I'm going to add 2 zeros. That will be 1,400. If I'm going to go from millimeter to centimeter, I start here at milli. I'm going to move left 1 place. Left 1 place. So if I start with the understood decimal here and go left 1 place, it's going to go between the 15 and the 0. So that would be 15 centimeters. Okay, let's do some more of these, but instead of talking about the length of something, we're going to talk about the weight of something. So we'll be doing grams. As we start at the top, I'm going to go ahead and put the prefixes again. Kilo, hecto, deca, our meter, liter, gram, deci, centi, milli. Okay, so if we do some measurements here, let's say we have 23.6 milligrams, we're going to convert to grams. I'm going to go ahead and write the problems up here that we're going to do. We're going to do 1,200 grams to kilograms. We're going to do 6.4 kilograms. We're going to convert that to grams. And we're going to do 25 centigrams to milligrams. Okay, so for each of these, I'm going to write the number originally as you see it here. And then in a moment, we're going to determine which direction and how many places we're going to go. Okay, so for our first one, we're going from milligram to gram. So we're starting here at milli, the prefix on the far right, and we're going to go left to gram. So we're going to go left 1, 2, 3 places. We're going to go left 3. So if I start here where the decimal is, I go left 1, 2, 3. When I move up to the front, there is not a number here, so I'm going to have to add 1 0 to hold that place. So 0.0236. The decimal here, I'm going to put a little X on it. It's now gone because we moved it up to the front. Gram to kilogram. So we're going to start here in the middle at the unit 1 for gram, and we're going to go left to get to kilogram. So we're going to go left 1, 2, 3 places. Left 3. So we're going to start here where the understood decimal is and go left 1, 2, 3. So the decimal is going to end up between the 1 and the 2. So when you type in an answer for that, you would just normally write 1.2. Those other zeros, if you typed them in on the calculator, if you did 1.200 and press enter, it would delete the zeros and just say 1.2. Let's go from kilogram to gram. So we start here at kilo, and we're going to go right 1, 2, 3 places to get to the gram. So we're going to go right 3. So if I start here, 1, 2, 3 to the right, this decimal no longer exists. I would have to add 2 zeros. So that will be 6,400. And for the last one, for centigram, we're going to go to milligram. So we start at centi, we're going to go right to milli. So we're going to go right 1 place. So the understood decimal is on the right side of the 5. I move right 1 place. So that will become 250. So as you are seeing, no matter what we are doing with our metrics, we are going with the same process. So we're going to do this one more time. Let me list these prefixes again. Kilo, hecto, deca. And by the time you use these, you're going to learn these and know these. But just so you feel a little more reassured, you will have those when you do your testing. Okay, so let me write down our problems. We have 6.5 liters. We're going to convert to milliliters. We're going to have 346 milliliters that we're going to convert to liters. Okay, so if we look at these, what we're going to do is we are going to go from liter here to milliliter. So we're going to go right 1, 2, 3 places. So if I have 6 and a 5 here, my decimals between the two, I go right 1, 2, 3. So in this case, I'm going to add only 2 zeros. When I have 346 and I'm going to go from milliliter to liter, I'm going to go left 1, 2, 3. So my understood decimals here, I go left 1, 2, 3. So that means we have to put the decimal up in front. What if we had something such as 2.86 hectoliter, and we were going to convert to centiliter. Okay, I've got a 286, my decimal is here. If I'm going from hecto to centi, I start here at the H, and I'm going to go right 1, 2, 3, 4 places. We're going to go right 4. So my decimal is here. I go right 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to add 2 more zeros. So 28600, your understood decimal is on the far right. Let's say I have a 1.9 centiliter and I want to convert that to a kiloliter. So I would start at centi, which is here, and go left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places. I would go left 5. So starting here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The decimal goes up to the front. I'm going to have to add in 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. That 1 took the place of that fifth one. So the little notations on the end with the arrow and the number, that's just the way I like to write it. So if you're looking back at your notes, you know which way you moved your decimal and how many places. It's not required, it's not mandatory. But for any of these where the decimal went right, it was a multiplication. This would be multiplying by 10,000. This would be dividing by 10,000. This would be multiplying by 100,000. It's counting the numbers of the zeros that you may have for those, okay? And that actually is all of the metric part. So I'm going to stop here.